It's amazing how God will cause certain men with certain gifts to be honed and their gifts to be perfected in the most simple ways. David was a shepherd before he was given the kingdom of Israel. Moses came out of the palace in Egypt and became a shepherd in the hills before he was given Israel to rule. And it's David who wrote this 23rd division of Psalm. Undoubtedly, Bible scholars agree on that left, right, and center. And smack dab in the middle of the verse of this section of Psalms, he says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." And a lot of preachers preach that it's just a shadow. But if I cast a shadow, that shadow represents that I'm standing there. And if I'm dangerous, that's the shadow of a dangerous individual. And we know when animals are in the valley that the predators always find high ground. Generals will tell you, you don't want to fight a war when you're on the low ground and your enemy's on the high ground. Why? Because high ground gives you momentum running down. You run faster. You get there quicker. You have greater momentum that leads to a greater impact when you run into the person who's down below you. And so when David was writing this passage, he was writing it from his experience. He saw a parallel between he, the sheep, God, and him. You know, he cared for those sheep. And he protected them from harm and danger. Part of his credential packet that he presented to Saul, why he should be able to fight this giant, was because when danger came to his sheep, he slaughtered them without a thought. These are my sheep. No bear, no lion. Murdered them. And he said, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death." That means that which is cast in the shadows on high ground. The sun hits the wolves, the sun hits the hyenas, and across the other side of the valley, a huge shadow is cast of the predators. Sheep is aware of it. The shepherd's not afraid of it. You just understand whatever you deal with this week. Some of you may be going into hostile situations at work. Some of you may be leaving work to go back to hostile situations at home. Whatever the situation is, your confidence should be in the one who's shepherding you. Jesus said this, "Greater love has no man than a man that would lay down his life for a friend." And then he laid down his life for the world. That shepherd, immovable, unbeatable. He's an impenetrable wall of defense. He stands high and looks low, that even though your enemies have the high ground on you, he has the high ground on them, because they that dwell in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow. Forget the shadow, my God, of death. The Most High is higher than death, higher than the grave, higher than hatred, vitriol, racism. And whatever that you face today, you find yourself in the secret place of the Most High. And then abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And death is not almighty because it's been conquered. And your enemy It's not almighty, because Jesus says, don't worry about the world. I've overcome the world. Just walk through it and get to me. So you walk forward. Psalms 23. And I say this to my Father. Thanks for holding out. Deliverance came. God bless you.